Hello, I'm Emma Marsden from the University of York, and Siebla Andringa will be joining me on this presentation to talk about OASIS as an open resource for work at research-practice interfaces. First, I'm going to describe what OASIS is, and then Siebla will talk about why it's needed. And then I will deliver a section on whether OASIS is fulfilling its purposes. So what's OASIS? It's a database of one-page, non-technical summaries of language studies. It covers a wide range of research areas, theories and methods. To date, about 1,900 summaries are freely available, and we've had about 72,000 downloads to date. So which studies are eligible to have an OASIS summary? Any article published in one of the journals listed on these citation indices that you can see. And this includes any empirical, primary or secondary data, any conceptual or review article. OASIS is sustained by over 17 academic journals that require or invite their accepted authors to write summaries. You'll be familiar with the sections of a journal article. OASIS captures some elements of these. A section called What This Research Was About and Why It's Important captures elements of the abstract introduction and literature review. The methods are captured in what the researchers did, results in what the researchers found, and the discussion and conclusion is reflected in the section Things to Consider. OASIS has its own genre with a certain style and language. We ask that authors of summaries use language that's appropriate for university-educated non-experts, that they avoid technical terms, and that they keep the international audience in mind. Authors are asked to emphasise the context-boundedness of findings of our research. So, for example, to use the past tense, writing things like the learners tended to, the teachers reported that, and to use determiners such as these, the, our, so as not to generalise to a wider population that we shouldn't be generalising to. Here's the OASIS homepage, and you can see that OASIS is highly searchable. Each summary has a set of metadata stored with it, and that makes it very easy to search for specific terms along a range of parameters such as research area, or the language the summary was written in, or the participant type. We also offer some detailed help pages. This is help for people who want to write a summary of their own study, people who want to write summaries of someone else's study. And we offer a range of templates, guidelines, and an annotated example.
Thank you, Emma, and hello everyone. I will briefly take over to explain why OASIS is needed. Explaining this begins with the realization that our research is of interest to many people who work as language teachers or policymakers or test developers, or you name it. So people who somehow work in the industry of language learning and teaching. This is actually a very large industry, and many people working in this industry will have questions about their practice and how they can improve their practice. And for this, they take an interest in our research. Often our research can inform practitioners about these questions, and that's why it's important that our research is accessible. We've also observed this in teacher surveys. For example, together with Catharine van Beuningen, I surveyed language teachers in the Netherlands and asked them what factors they felt shaped their current practice, and then what factors they felt should shape their practice. As you can see, research insights were not listed very highly on the list of factors that shape their current practice. However, it received the highest mention when we asked teachers what should shape their practice. This conveys that teachers have a clear desire to know what research tells them about their practice and about their daily work. Unfortunately, however, our work is not so accessible. Al-Hoorie and Marsden investigated how many papers appeared open access in some of the largest journals in our field, and they concluded that 86% was published behind a paywall in the period between 2019 and 2021. This tells us that lots of the most impactful work is not accessible to people outside academia. Open access does gain traction. Open access publication rates increase, and there are some journals that publish open access exclusively and freely. However, we also see that the publishing market is heavily commercialized and that new paywall journals continue to emerge. This means that researchers either have to bring lots of money to publish their work open access or accept that it ends up behind a paywall. Many of us do post preprints or post-print versions of our articles online, but these are not easily picked up in searches, and you cannot expect that these are easily found by people who work outside of academia. However, it's not just paywalls that make our research inaccessible. This would imply that the problem would actually go away if we managed to better publish our research open access. A survey amongst teachers in the UK by Marsden and Kasprovic showed that teachers experienced large practical barriers for engaging with and in research. Many of them responded that they simply don't have the time or the funds to read articles or to attend conferences or to do some research activities themselves. However, another big factor that emerged was accessibility, and this should not be understood just in terms of findability, but also in terms of conceptual accessibility. Research papers are lengthy and often difficult to read, casting complex terminology, and complex research designs are used and analysis procedures. And this too is an important barrier to accessing research for people outside academia. Fortunately, only a minority indicated that they didn't see the value of research. And this survey was replicated in the Netherlands, and the outcomes were a mirror image of the UK results. In both surveys, we also asked how we could establish a better link between research and practice. These were spontaneous suggestions given by teachers, so not prompted by multiple choice items. What teachers indicated in both surveys is that they would like a pre-selection of relevant research articles, which is an understandable wish if you consider how large the research database is. They also suggested summaries in accessible language, free and open access of research, easily searchable databases, and some kind of notification system directing them to relevant research. It was actually Marsden and Kasprovic's survey work that inspired OASIS, and as you will have gathered from Emma's introduction, OASIS now very much looks like this, which is something that we are very proud of. But does OASIS fulfill its purpose? This is what Emma will now continue on. Over to you, Emma.
This section answers the question, is OASIS fulfilling its purposes? I'll talk about whether OASIS increases engagement with journal articles, who downloads the summaries, how they can be used, and teachers' opinions and reported behaviours in relation to OASIS summaries. So we compared articles in the journal Recall. Half of the articles had summaries and half of the articles didn't have summaries, and we carefully matched these pairs of articles along parameters that might affect whether people read them or cite them. So you can see down the left here the measures that we took to look at engagement with the journal article. And on the left you'll see the results of the articles with no summary, and on the right the articles that have a summary. You can see that views, reads, citations of journal articles that have a summary are, without exception, higher than those for articles without a summary. So for example, PDF views of articles with a summary were statistically significantly higher than PDF views of articles without a summary. So we hope that this demonstrates the usefulness of OASIS for increasing the visibility and engagement with journal articles themselves. And these findings have been replicated in a study on articles in the journal system by Jim McKinley and colleagues. So who downloads the summaries? You can see that the vast majority, that blue portion there, are downloaded by language teachers and instructors, followed by students and also teacher educators, materials and test developers and university academics. In total, about 62% of the downloads are from people who are outside universities. So we're pretty pleased with this. How's OASIS being used by other people? In student programmes across the world, OASIS summaries are being used as a resource for reading, and also they're being set as an assignment for writing for non-academic audiences. They're also being used to create a corpus for analysing writing. They're being used as part of an Erasmus-funded project that I'm involved in, led by Cara Bloom at the Dortmund Tech University. The project's called Reality, Research Literacy of Teachers, and OASIS summaries are going to form part of a corpus of teacher-accessible research, and also they're going to be used in various events and activities for teacher educators and teachers in Europe. OASIS is also being used in pre-service and in-service teacher education. I'm now going to spend some time talking about how OASIS was used as part of the National Centre for Excellence for Language Pedagogy, which was funded by the Department for Education in England between 2018 and 2023. And since that time, the DFE funding has stopped and we are identifying as language-driven pedagogy. Between 2019 and 2022, we followed the DFE's model of professional development. We worked with 9 lead schools with 2 specialist teachers in each. Each lead school had 4 hub schools. And our professional development reached about 290 teachers. The model was that we would run residentials, NSELP up at the top cog. NSELP would run residentials for the 18 specialist teachers and also go into schools to deliver monthly half-day professional development events for those teachers. Those teachers then delivered the professional development with their own adaptations to their own hub schools via monthly teacher research groups and conferences. Between 2022 and 23, those specialist teachers then delivered the professional development to teachers online, and these professional development events were open to all teachers. And we estimate the reach there to about 2,700 teachers in England. So how did we use OASIS summaries? For example, they were used to inform classroom resource creation. There's about 1,800 classroom resources on the website you can see there, resources.ldpedagogy.org. And some of those resources are linked to an OASIS summary, which describes some of the research that's related to or underpins the resource that we've developed. OASIS summaries were also used in professional development materials. For example, this is a document about how teachers could support writing production. At the end of the document, we cite some OASIS summaries that might help teachers to understand some of the research related to our professional development document. OASIS summaries were also used to inform professional development workshops. You can see 2 examples here on the screen. So for example, in one workshop, we asked specialist teachers to read about 12 open accessible summaries, and then they discussed these summaries, answered questions about them, critiqued the studies in small groups. OASIS summaries were selected for specific themes in the professional development. So for example, one of the themes was about curriculum design, and we selected certain OASIS summaries that reflected the ideas that we wanted to share with the teachers and discuss with them. There were lots of other themes as well that were part of our professional development programme. So what were the teachers thinking about these OASIS summaries? We asked whether they strongly agreed with or somewhat agreed with the following statements. Whether the summaries are easy to understand, and about 85% of our respondents agreed that they were. About 88% thought that the summaries contain enough information to help them understand the research. About 87% said that OASIS summaries make it easier to access research information. And my favourite, about 79% said OASIS summaries help them to develop a new idea. Teachers were asked what they did with the summaries. Did they share them, for example? And about a third said that they had recommended OASIS to a friend or colleague. About 38% said that they had shared a summary. And about 88% intended to keep using the OASIS summaries. So what's in store for OASIS over the next year or two? Well, we already have summaries in lots of different languages. We have templates for summaries in 14 different languages. And if you would like to add another language to our list, please do get in touch. We're really keen to diversify the languages that are held on OASIS. We also have signed summaries. The picture you can see here is of a summary that has been signed in American Sign Language, and these are held as videos on OASIS. We're undergoing a major technical move to a cloud-based server. And in this change, this will mean that authors will now be able to upload their own summaries rather than emailing them to us. And also we're considering opening up to more journals and also to summaries of book chapters. We're aware that artificial intelligence can be used to, and sometimes is used to, create OASIS summaries. We have a statement on our website. While we encourage the use of AI-based apps in summary writing, OASIS requires that any summary has been checked by a human for nuance, coherence, accuracy, and faithfulness to the original article. So, of course, ChatGPT can be used to help create a summary, and we find that this shaves about an hour or two off the process, but we ask that all of them are checked by a human for coherence and fidelity to the original study. In fact, we have some instructions for ChatGPT to create OASIS summary, and please get in touch if you'd like to see what our instructions are. So keep in touch. We have various ways of keeping up to date with OASIS. Twitter. You can subscribe to weekly emails that tell you about new summaries in areas that you're interested in. You can contact the email address, and you can see our ideas list for things to do with OASIS. And finally, we're really keen that OASIS reaches diverse journals and associations. For example, those related to multilingualism, clinical uses of language, and language policy groups. So please spread the word in your networks. And thanks very much for listening. I'll end on the slide with the references so that you have them there.